Shalom, and welcome back to the Noach Academy Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button and to subscribe, and of course, most importantly, to share this wisdom and inspiration with friends and family. So if you look in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, this is the fifth of the 10 Commandments. And God tells us, honor your father and mother, that you may long endure on the land that your God is assigning to you. So this is very, very important. This is very, very fundamental. In fact, it's interesting that it follows, and it's in, so to speak, in the first half of the 10 Commandments, in which everything is associated directly with God. In other words, everything is of a spiritual and lofty nature. Believe in God, no other gods. Don't take God's name in vain. Honor the Sabbath. Sabbath is about God, removing yourself from the mundane and standing higher and being connected to something holier. And then honor your father and mother. What's the connection? What has that got to do with anything? Why is this so important that God incorporates it in his infinite wisdom in the 10 Commandments, the most important of all of the commandments? Well, the Talmud tells us, quote, there are three partners in every human being. Any human being that's alive, that exists, that ever existed, there were three partners involved in the creation of that human being: father, mother, and God. And yes, I know some will ask, and what happens if this was a case of, God forbid, an unwanted conception and so on? Still, which is obviously beyond my understanding, and I'm sure yours too, we don't know why God decided to partner up with this bad person. But the fact is, and at least let's focus on your average set of parents, they could choose to have a child, but without God's contribution, without God's help, without God providing that soul and the means of conception, it would never have happened. So what God is really saying to us, when you honor your father and mother, you're honoring me. You're acknowledging, you are showing respect for the fact that I, God, chose to be partners with this man and woman to create this child, to bring this child into the world. So this is another act of honoring God. Now, I understand, and I can tell you that there are so many varying, unfortunate circumstances in which children have a hard time dealing with their parents, have a hard time being in close proximity with their parents. Their parents are difficult, or maybe sometimes even worse, terrible people. So they still have to honor them? The answer is yes. And of course, no, they don't have to subject themselves to unnecessarily pain and torture. They don't have an obligation to be in the presence of these parents. If the parents are impossible and the parents are difficult, believe you me, God understands. God knows what's going on. Then you have every right, not only every right, but maybe even obligation to distance yourself, to further yourself from it, so you can continue on and have a meaningful, productive life, and God willing, a family of your own, so you could give to the next generation and you could be the good parent. And if being in their presence will create a negative effect and take away from your ability to be productive, and obviously you should distance yourself. But while in their presence, you cannot in any way disrespect them. You need to show them respect. And let's now go to the common parent, typical parents. Just an example of respect, just an example of what one needs to do. And something that I find very unfortunate and very dismaying in today's society. I cannot tell you how many times I encountered people, kids, children, who call their parents by their name. According to God's law, you're not allowed to call the parent by the name. It goes so far that it's even problematic if your parent has, let's say your father has a very common name, let's say Joe, and there is a Joe who's standing there. In his presence, it becomes somewhat of an issue and a dilemma to call your friend by the same name that is your dad's name, or in the same case, would be with your mom's name, and so on. That's how far we go in being careful not to call them by the first name. You know why? Because they're not just another person that carries the name Joe, Sarah, Maria, whatever it may be. This is your father. This is your mother. This is daddy. This is mommy. This is the person in your life. This is the person that has that role. When you say daddy or father or dad, whatever it is, when you say mom or mother, what you're saying is partner with God in my existence. That's respect. That's honor. Sadly, today's society is robbing the youth of just basic elementary respect. And the results of it you see not only in the relations between the child and the parent, and sometimes it can seem to be so harmless. In fact, many parents say, no, we're open-minded. We allow our children to do this. You cannot allow your child to do something which fundamentally robs them from the basic element of respect and honor, because you are doing them a disservice, an injustice that will last for them the whole life. And who knows what the ramifications could be, subtly or overtly. So this is just some examples of honoring your parents. In our society today, how much do we lack honor, basic respect? Perhaps I can suggest it starts in the home. Even if you have a difficult parent, you don't have to subject yourself to torture. You do not have to subject yourself to unnecessary pain. But at the same time, you have to try to find a way to honor them. For example, just going to use an example that I once counseled somebody. Very, very difficult parent, very difficult mother. His father had already passed on. I said, all you need to do is pick up the phone and make sure to call your mom every day, just to say hello, just that she knows you're thinking about her. As soon as she starts poking, as soon as she starts making it difficult for you, you politely, respectfully excuse yourself and say you have to go, or you're sorry, you're busy, you just made sure to not forget to call her, and politely make sure to end the call, not to hang up on her, but to end the call. This way you showed her respect, you showed her honor, but you didn't do anything that could be interpreted as disrespect. That's just an example. But of course, if you have a good relationship with your parents, you make it a point to be there, to be present in their life, and to constantly thank them. And more importantly, show them the respect for the fact that God chose to be the partner in this enterprise, which is you.